Imagine waking up one morning to find that fairy tales are no longer just stories. The three little pigs are building houses in your neighborhood. Cinderella just left her glass slipper on the steps of a subway station, and a fire-breathing dragon is circling the city skyline. This isn't a dream. This is a reality where the line between fiction and truth has vanished. Fairy tales have come to life. But what would that actually mean for our world? Would it be magical, terrifying, chaotic, or a bizarre mix of all three? This question opens a rabbit hole of epic proportions. Every character, creature, curse, and enchanted object now exists among us. And not just in storybooks, they are living, breathing parts of our world. Think about the consequences. If fairy tale creatures emerged, what would happen to the natural order of our lives? Would governments recognize them as citizens? Would the presence of magic ruin science, or would it enhance it? Would villains like the Evil Queen or Rumpelstiltskin be arrested for past crimes, or forgiven because they're from a story? The implications are both thrilling and unsettling. The familiar becomes unfamiliar. The bedtime tales we once loved now shape our reality, and we're forced to live alongside talking animals, enchanted forests, and unpredictable spells. This isn't just a fantastical what-if. It's a portal into understanding how deeply our cultural myths influence our perception of reality. As we explore this scenario together, take a moment to imagine your favorite fairy tale character walking down your street. What would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know who you'd like to meet or avoid. And if you're enjoying the ride so far, don't forget to hit the like button. Let's dive deeper into this enchanted world. The instant fairy tales step into our reality, society as we know it begins to change, rapidly and irreversibly. Our laws, education systems, public safety protocols, and even architecture would need immediate revision. Imagine city planners now having to accommodate enchanted forests, troll bridges, or floating castles. What about zoning laws for giants or flying carpets? The presence of magical beings and unpredictable spells forces us to rethink every structure of modern life. A dragon could destroy a city block with one fiery breath, and Sleeping Beauty might sue the prince for unwanted contact. Suddenly, fairy tale ethics collide with modern legal systems, creating a massive clash of values. Schools would transform into places where traditional subjects are taught alongside spellcasting, potion brewing, and magical creature handling. Imagine math class interrupted by a mischievous leprechaun, or gym class turning into broomstick flying lessons. Meanwhile, hospitals would have to hire fairy doctors who understand how to reverse poison apples or undo age-altering curses. The blending of magic and science would be revolutionary, but also risky. How do you measure the healing effects of a unicorn's tear? What happens when technology interacts with magic? The lines blur fast and chaos isn't far behind. Social dynamics would shift dramatically. Beauty might still win favor, but what happens when spells can make anyone beautiful? Would we see a rise in magical cosmetic enhancements? And how would societies handle creatures like werewolves, witches, and goblins? Prejudice could explode, leading to segregation of magical and non-magical beings, a new form of inequality. Or perhaps, we'd witness a beautiful blending of worlds where ogres and humans coexist in harmony. One thing's certain, the arrival of fairy tale life would rewrite our history, rewire our present, and reshape our future. Comment below. Do you think our world would embrace this magic or try to suppress it? Now imagine the economic chaos. Gold coins fall from the sky whenever Jack climbs his beanstalk. Magical beans are worth more than stocks. Spells that create food out of thin air destroy agriculture industries overnight. Suddenly, the global economy collapses, or transforms into something we've never seen before. Fairy tale logic doesn't follow the rules of supply and demand. If Rumpelstiltskin can spin straw into gold, what's the point of mining anymore? If genies can grant riches with a wish, why would anyone work a 9-to-5 job? The balance of wealth would disintegrate in a matter of days. Traditional banks would either adapt quickly or become obsolete. New institutions might emerge, ones that trade in enchanted items, rare mythical ingredients, or magical favors. The black market would boom with illegal spells, cursed objects, and enchanted contraband. Meanwhile, corporations could exploit fairy tale beings, perhaps hiring fairies to mass-produce dreams or using trolls as bouncers. The lines between ethical business and magical slavery would become dangerously thin. Would labor laws even apply to dwarves mining jewels or talking animals performing tricks in viral videos? However, there could be incredible opportunities too. Magic could revolutionize transportation, energy, and healthcare. Imagine flying carpets replacing cars or fairy dust powering entire cities. Poverty might end if wishes are wisely managed. But the potential for misuse is massive. With one careless wish, someone could undo years of progress or accidentally unleash a curse. The economy wouldn't just shift, it would fracture and reform into something unrecognizable. Drop a comment. What magical job would you want in this new world? And if you're still with us, give that like button a sprinkle of fairy dust. When fairy tale realms spill into our world, politics become a wild circus of magical influence and ancient claims to power. Suddenly, modern democracies are faced with rival monarchs arriving through enchanted portals. The Queen of Hearts demands land rights. King Arthur seeks to establish Camelot in downtown London. Meanwhile, Snow White's dwarves form a union and call for labor rights reform. How would the world's current political leaders deal with self-proclaimed royalty backed by armies of enchanted creatures? Would the United Nations recognize Neverland as a sovereign state? Or would conflict erupt as magical and non-magical powers clash? The nature of political campaigns would also change drastically. Instead of debates and policies, imagine candidates using potions to win hearts or casting glamour spells to sway voters. Would elections be fair anymore? Could citizens trust what they see if illusions and shape-shifting were common tricks? Law enforcement would need magical divisions. Intelligence agencies would scramble to decode spells and intercept curses instead of just emails and encrypted messages. National security wouldn't just involve borders. It would involve shielding against invisible intrusions and mind control. Diplomatic relations could also evolve in unexpected ways. Peace treaties might be signed in dragon blood or sealed with unicorn tears. Magical creatures like elves or mermaids could demand representation in international law. But not all would seek peace. Dark lords, witches, and tyrants from fairy tales might use their newfound existence to conquer and enslave. World leaders would be forced to choose: fight magic with force or integrate it peacefully. Political ideologies would be tested in ways never imagined. Comment below, who would you trust more? Your current leader or a wizard with centuries of wisdom? Art, music, literature, and storytelling would all explode into new dimensions. On one hand, we'd enter a cultural renaissance. Fairy tales becoming real would inspire new forms of expression, blending modern creativity with ancient myth. Imagine street artists painting living murals, or orchestras accompanied by sirens' songs. Filmmakers would race to document real-life fairy tale events, while social media would be flooded with pixies doing TikTok dances and trolls arguing on Twitter. Museums might showcase living dragons, while libraries would expand into magical archives that contain spells and scrolls lost for centuries. But not all would be beautiful. The shock of fairy tale horror, like child-eating witches or cursed forests, could traumatize societies. Some might try to suppress or outlaw magical culture altogether, fearing its corruptive influence. Religious institutions might interpret these events as divine signs, sparking spiritual awakenings or crusades. Others would simply be overwhelmed by the flood of new ideas, languages, and traditions. The global identity would shift, torn between wonder and fear. Education systems would struggle to keep up with the explosion of magical literature and history. This cultural upheaval would also affect relationships. Romance could take on a whole new meaning. Love potions, magical soul bonds, and enchanted marriages would challenge the way we understand connection. Fairy tale ideals of love, instant attraction, true love's kiss, would clash with modern views on consent and autonomy. Would people still believe in hard-earned love when magic shortcuts exist? Or would these magical experiences make us more empathetic, more imaginative, and more connected? Tell us in the comments. Would you want to live in a world where love could literally cast a spell? In a world where fairy tales come to life, the age-old struggle between good and evil would no longer be metaphorical. It would be happening on our streets. Every kingdom has its heroes: knights, wizards, daring princesses. But where heroes rise, villains do too. Wicked witches, dark sorcerers, and malevolent beasts wouldn't just be stories anymore. They'd be threats. What happens when a real big bad wolf starts prowling through city parks, or Maleficent lays a curse on an entire population? Suddenly, heroism becomes a necessity, not just a fantasy. This would inspire ordinary people to step up. With magic in the air, anyone could train to be a sword-wielding defender of justice or a potion-making healer. Superhero movies would become real-life news. Communities might form adventurer guilds to protect neighborhoods from rogue enchantments. But there's danger in glorifying heroism too. Not everyone with power chooses to use it wisely. New cults could rise around charismatic magical leaders, promising miracles but delivering manipulation. Even former storybook heroes might not be as noble as we remember. What if Peter Pan never grew up because he didn't want responsibility? Governments and civilians alike would have to decide. Should we let heroes operate freely or regulate them like any other force? If someone saves a village but breaks 50 laws doing it, are they still a hero? And what about villains? Do we punish them by modern standards or acknowledge the moral complexities of their tales? As fairy tale morality clashes with real-world ethics, our ideas of justice, redemption, and power would all be put to the test. If you were given a magical weapon today, would you become a hero? Or something else? In the end, if fairy tales came to life, we wouldn't just be witnesses, we'd be characters in the story. Some of us would embrace the magic, others might resist it, but no one would remain untouched. Our lives would be rewritten with wonder, risk, and imagination. The line between reality and fantasy would blur, forcing humanity to redefine what's possible. And maybe, just maybe, we'd rediscover the power of belief. Not just in magic but in each other. So, if you could step into a fairy tale today, would you take the leap? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video if you believe that even in this world, a little magic still exists.